see. Hey everybody, the cameraman here. Today is Tuesday, August 25th. It's 9:51 a.m. Just wanted to take you on a little quick tour, if we can, upstairs to the district attorney's office. I want to show you guys something that hangs up there, if we can go and look in the office, that is very endearing, very powerful words. Very hypocritical words, I should say. Okay, but I see we got 2 people in, 4 people in. We can go to the district attorney and just see if we can voice our frustrations. Yeah. Here's the district attorney's office, if it's open. Hello.
Hi.
I just wanted to get a plaque real quick to show everybody. Okay, everybody. Here's the plaque I was talking about that's hung up here in the district attorney's office. Beneath its protection, except when it comes to Michael Ramsey. And what I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen, is today, people from this office, not you particularly, the secretaries don't do the perjuring. It's the DA people. Let me switch it around so we can get the sign here. It's the people in this office that work out of this office. Not so much her. She's been a cool person to me. I haven't had any real problems that I can recall with her. So she's been good. But other than the secretaries at the front, the people in here commit perjury, submit false evidence, don't keep their claims consistent. And Mike Ramsey is the longest standing district attorney in the state of California, with over 30 years of being in office. And he also is notorious for having one of the most highest conviction rates in a county in the state of California. So my grief with him today is, to do justice, as no one is above the law or beneath its protection, except when it comes to them. And what I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen, is I can go into court and file a media request, and they will say, I'm not media. When California Rules of Court 1.150b, subsection 2, states that any person engaged in news gathering, and it goes on to list all sorts of media, newspaper, magazine, yada, yada, yada. At the very end there, it says, any and all other forms of media. Okay? Well, I'm any and all other forms of media. But because I give the defendant a willful opportunity to participate in their own media coverage, well then, he is acting not as media. He's acting on behalf of, the defendant for personal. No, just because I give a willingness for someone to participate in their own coverage of their case does not mean I'm not media. And that's one of their big arguments. And today we got in front of Judge Rodriguez, and he was respectful. He gave me an opportunity to address the court on my media request, unlike some other judges where they just say, let me set up the camera here, where they just say, sit down and be quiet. He actually gave me a willingness to participate and address what the district attorney had to say. And I basically said, I'm protected under California court rules, and I'm protected by California Constitution, Article 1, Section 2B. And so he listened and reviewed, but he just ultimately, I'm going to go ahead and deny the media request and agree with the district attorney. So just another judge that doesn't honor the Constitution. I mean, he was polite and nice, but that doesn't excuse the fact that he committed a deprivation of my rights. And exactly, that's what they're afraid of, me telling the truth. Because when you get in there, like for one case, the People versus Jeremiah Robert Weed I was in a couple weeks ago, they don't want it to be recorded when you have a sergeant from the police department get up there and say, oh yeah, I got in a police chase and I saw this guy, he was driving a maroon Dodge pickup. But then when his partner gets on the stand to testify, he says, oh yeah, when he came around the corner, he was driving a red GMC pickup. Well, which one is it? Is it a maroon Dodge or a red GMC pickup? And that's just an example of the kind of things that go on in court that they don't want documented. Okay? Now, I can understand them citing the concerns of people's privacy and the effect of picking a jury. The only one I'm really concerned about is the picking of the jury. That's mainly why I haven't released much of anything involving my work here at the Butte County Courthouses, because matters that I'm documenting have not been finished yet, and I preferably like to put it all in 1 to 2 hour video for the viewer's pleasure, and then two, that way don't influence the jury if nothing's out there yet. But tried to explain that, and they're like, no, you're not media still. And it's just really unfortunate that they're going to deny constitutional rights, but yet practice and preach that they're equal to everybody with the law. But it's not. It's just for them. And yeah, study the dice. Hey, shh, don't be talking about that. Because then they'll try and bring that up as an issue. Well, he went so-and-so, and now we're afraid. They'll try anything here. They'll try any excuse. Like today, the court case I should say I'm here for. This gentleman, they're trying to discredit him as a crazy man, basically. And he's not a crazy man. I mean, he's not, how should I put this? He's very eccentric. And not everybody can tolerate eccentric behavior like I can. But the issue is that they're trying to discredit him, and they used one of my videos that I filmed in court in that letter to discredit him, but yet they say I'm not media, but they're not beneath using my videos to discredit defendants. So that proves the camera works both ways. It can be beneficial for the people, and it could be beneficial for the defense. Exactly, time to stand, but the bottom line is people are afraid of cameras and the truth. And that's the main threat, is they're afraid of the truth. And, well, you wouldn't have to be afraid of the truth if you didn't commit perjury. Like today, I'm in court, and I say, Your Honor, before we go to recess there's the issue of the media request. I wasn't notified. I'm assuming it was denied. And what does she say to people? Oh, well, we were never informed. We never got a media request. We never got a copy. And today is the 25th of August. I filed my media request on the 7th of August. So it's been in the court system for at least a couple weeks. So it's not really my problem if you weren't properly notified. You guys don't properly notify me, so it's like, now I guess what goes around comes around. But I provide a copy for the court. I guess it got lost in the clerk's office somewhere, but that's not my issue. I provided the necessary copies, but they want to say they never got it. But it's stamped on record, filed August 7th, so that's just blatant perjury. But I didn't, say perjury because now I've tried this before. I had a judge say, oh, this media request was filed yesterday when it was on record for 30 days, and he said it was untimely, and I said, no, Your Honor, it's been on record since the 15th of June because the hearing was on the 16th of July. He kind of got his excuses, he got confused and thought it was, but it's very clearly, there's safeguards. It says on the stamp, J-U-N, I could see you getting the mistake of July, but that's why they make you sign and date the form next to your signature. So if he would have looked and saw 6/15/2020, maybe the problem's solved, because 6 is hard to mistake from a 7. But I said that, Your Honor, that's been on record since this so-and-so date, and a moment of silence, and I said, well, Your Honor, you're committing perjury because he's not addressing, no sound. No sound. No sound. Everybody hear me? They might be tapping in. Ladies and gentlemen, because I might have to go ahead and end it now because they have the power. They act like they don't. If he was confused, then maybe you should not be a judge. Exactly. Good point there. But as you can see, the DA people are all walking around now. No one was out here, but as soon as I started live streaming, they came out. But anyways, his excuse was he got confused, but it's the same story, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we got the date on the media request wrong. Oh, we got the search warrant address wrong. It still didn't change the fact that he denied my media request and deprived me of rights on false information. It was only after I was removed from the courtroom did he correct the issue I found out on the minute order. But when I stood up and told the Honor, no, Your Honor, you're committing perjury, because if I don't say anything, he's going to roll with the record as I'm accepting that. Just like today, if I didn't say anything about me objecting to me not being media, then if I didn't say anything about that, they're going to roll along with me, saying basically, if I don't stand up and say anything, they're going to say, oh, well, you're accepting that. You're accepting these remarks as true because you're not rebutting them. And two, when I do this, they sometimes stand up and say, oh, no, you can't address the court. And yes, I can. On the case that I filed a motion on, which is, even though they call it a media request, it's still any other motion you're filing with the court. It's still a motion. It is what it is. A little dry mouth here. But, and when they don't address it, and I stand up to address it, they say, no, you can't address the court. But I can't, because I filed a motion, and two, we have a constitutionally protected right to address government officials for petitioning grievances and seek redress on them and instruct them for the common good. And so they try and act like, oh, no, you can't address the court. Oh, I do have my own press pass. And get this, California court rules state that you cannot have any media insignia or press pass or anything displayed in the court. You can't have any markings on your camera or anything. So you may notice how, like, some news agencies, right, on their microphones, when they're holding them, they have like their logo on a little box around the fuzzy thing. Okay, that would not be allowed in court because that has an insignia on it. And I do have my own press pass. I have it right here in my briefcase thingy. But it doesn't mean any good. And then two, I have the case on my phone. I can't pull it up right now because it would shut down the live stream. But the courts have already ruled back on that a long time ago that we, the people, have the right as media. So the press pass is just a luxury, a novelty purpose, I guess, for private events. But I mean, you still at these private events, even if you're media, like for example, the Star Wars convention, they have people walking around that says press pass, but I look in that, you got to pay $200 to get that pass, if you will, because it's a private event. Now, the issue with the press pass too, the courts have ruled, we're all media. And another ruling I do know off the top of my head is ACLU versus Reno. They've already stated in that case that, with YouTube, Google, and all of this, everybody is effectively a journalist, and we have constitutionally protected right to post things on the internet. So I think there's the district attorney. What do you want me to go down there, or? I don't know what these people were waving about over there. They're just giving me hand signals here. Because I looked over. But anyways, what was I saying? I got all sidetracked there because I happened to glance over and there were some people looking. I guess they're afraid to be seen in public. But anyways, back to the Reno versus ACLU. That case ruled essentially we are all media. And these tools of Facebook, YouTube give us the powers to effectively everyone to be journalists. Whether or not people use those rights is a different story. But all of this, I shouldn't even be having to fill out a form. I should just ask, Your Honor, can I record or not? And it should just be yes or no. I shouldn't have to fill out a form identifying myself because Fifth Amendment. Why do I need to identify myself when all of us have the right? I mean, even the district attorney, if they wanted to, they could come out and set up their own camera and film if they wanted to. Okay, they have, just like some of these decent deputies that I talk to, and they're, surprisingly, some people are like, oh my God, you talk to cops? Well, yeah. And of course, you got to talk to people, how do you find out things? But some of these people, there's bad apples, and some of these people are decent, but they're just constrained by the good old boy behavior that they can't do anything about it. Now, what was I getting into about the decent people? Decent. Oh, dang it, I forgot what I was going to say on that. But there is decent people here, but it's just a shame that they're constricted by the good old boy syndrome. Just like the judge this morning, giving me an opportunity for once to address what the district attorney had to say instead of just, telling me to sit down and be quiet. He still denied my media request. He was polite about it. That doesn't excuse that he, deprived me of rights, but I could tell by his willingness to listen and want to pay attention and give me an opportunity, he was into what I had to say somewhat, but because he's constrained by the system that he's a part of, if he approves my media request, that's going to start problems with these people, and these people, fight back and forth when one party does something the other party doesn't like, and that creates conflict. So I don't know. There you go. Was that door locked or something? Yeah. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. because I've seen people go in and out it all day.
Weird. Yeah.
Because if I would have known that, I would have came over and opened the door. I wasn't sure if you know what you were asking. Sorry about that. See, ladies and gentlemen, I do like to be polite. There's just because people are rude doesn't mean you have to be rude back. But now we know what the whole hand signal is about. They wanted me to open that door. I guess you need a special little key thing for that door. But to do justice is, because no one is above it. That's one of the people that says I'm not media that just walked past. See, that's the thing, I'm in here. Yeah, exactly, nothing wrong with being polite. Just because you deprive my rights doesn't mean I have to be rude about, well, I mean, unlike some people, they'd probably be a lot angrier than I am. I mean, I'm not justifying what they're doing is right, but just because, you said something against me in court I don't agree with doesn't mean I'm not going to hold the door open for you if you're right behind me. It's like, just because I can doesn't mean I should. But, to do justice as no one is above the law or beneath its protection, well, you guys are not above the law, and I'm sure the people are going to be watching this. I'm sure you are. Okay, you guys say you're not above the law, but you sit in court and commit perjury and say I'm not media, and you want to argue. And she's like, well, it says government can determine who is media. Well, that's not, well, maybe the Ninth Circuit says that, but that's not what according to the Constitution says. That's a good point dang it, it's tongue-tied on that one. Onus News Service, there we go. That's a good point, Onus. Because when you go and look at the California court rules, right, it says anybody who's engaged in news gathering is media, okay? The state constitution says people have the right to be media. Everyone has the right to engage in news gathering. So the state constitution says everybody has the power to be media. The court rules say everybody has the power to be media. And two, the judge asked him, hey, what's your reasoning? What's your reasoning for, him not being media? Oh, well, he gave a copy of the video to the defendant. Okay, so I gave the defendant a willful participation in his own media case. Like I said, I'm going to compile it all when this matter is over into one giant video, so be easier on the viewing pleasure, so that way you don't have to watch 5 different videos. And then 2, with YouTube's new timestamp feature, I can put in timestamps, so you could select preliminary hearing this date, pretrial conference this date, make it easier. So that way you won't have to be skipping through a 2-hour-long video for certain parts when I can already bookmark them, and you can press the button and it'll skip right to them. But, just because I give the person who has their own YouTube channel a copy, and I said I gave them a copy at my own discretion, I don't have to, but there's nothing saying I can't either, because he wants to get it out, and he wants people to know that media is documenting his case, and he wants it out there. I do regret, as he mentioned to me, that I should have brung up that, hey, I got over 8,000 people that watch my YouTube channel, so I guess you need to tell those other 8,000 people that I'm not media, but we all know that's not true. But they can come in here and commit perjury and say I'm not media when they know I'm not media. And then 2, in this memorandum of the letter, that's right, if I didn't already say it. Now I'm going on for 20 minutes here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. I didn't want to be on here for very long, but I did want to get my point across here, the perjury that's committed here, that, no one is above the law or beneath its protection, except when it comes to them committing perjury, submitting false evidence, not being truthful, just when it applies to them, okay? Oh, that's right, and that's another thing now I remember, the decent deputies, okay? When I'm talking to some of these people and it gets into something about an opinion, they say, oh, well, we can't talk about it. And I said, yeah, I understand, your policy gag orders you, but you still have a First Amendment right, just like everybody else. And that's what I feel that some of these people in law enforcement forget. And they're constrained by the good old boy system of you do something, we're gonna cut you off. But, just because you're a police officer doesn't mean you don't have your constitutional rights as well. And from I remember here in California, these officers, when they're investigated and whatnot, they have a whole bunch of rights because they're a police officer that, you know, I think one of the rules is like, you know, when one of these officers is investigated, there has to be two officers in the room interviewing them, things of that nature. So they have, you know, they get a little, you know, something here and there, but too, they still have constitutional rights like you, me. We all have constitutional rights. So if you know, some people might think this is crazy, but if a cop wanted to go in there and film, I would stand right behind him and say, you know, I support his right. He has a right just like I have to come in here and file a media request and film. I don't care if he's a police officer or not. He still has the right, just like I do, to be in here observing these proceedings and filing a media request for them. But, you know, no one's above the law except for him, you know, Mike Ramsey and his people, because we get in there and say, oh, he's not media, and we can't really explain. Now, I would have gone in there and said case law, this and that, but we're going to be here all day. And two, I don't have those printed out. And if I had the case law printed out, it's a lot easier to slap down on paper and go, hey, Your Honor, here's the case law. But then again, you know, we know how judges go. They could just, they look at papers and they still deny and commit perjury. Okay? So even if I did bring the case law, it might not make any difference whatsoever. But that's the thing, is if I go in there and say something that's not true, I could get cited for perjury or contempt of court. But they can say that I'm not media when I'm engaged in the constitutionally protected right and get away with it. And the judges will roll with it. Like, oh, it's okay. You know, not that the judge himself took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, and he should realize that this is censorship, suppression, and deprivation of a constitutionally protected right by a member of the public. But no, he just rolls along with it because they're all buddies. That's what it means to be a member of the bar. And two, you know, nowadays it's, you know, being part of the court council here. And I'll end with this then. You know, every morning, right, when court starts at 8:30. Court starts at 8:30. But you don't get into court until 9 o'clock sometimes, you know, half an hour before it starts. Can't say for all courts, but the majority of the courts I've been to anyways, here in California, they say we're going to start at 8:30, but don't start until 9 o'clock. And then I look in the courtroom, and then all these attorneys and district attorneys and public defenders, or drunk pretenders, as we like to call them, are all talking and having a good time and laughing. That's what it means to be a member of the bar. Not to be a member of the State Attorneys Association, but to have the privilege to be at the king's table, have courtship with the king. Because when you research what that means to be a member of the bar, you know, these words have been around for a very, very long time. And then looking into that, it means, oh, you have a reserved, you know, seat for the king at the king's courtship, you know, at his royal table. That's what it means to be a member of the bar. So they go in there, they have their little talks and laughs before court. And two, before, I would be able to sit in there and scoot past you there. Got a lot of stuff there. You know, I used to be able to sit in there because court opens at 8:30, but because they're in recess, they ordered me out. But I'd sit there and I'd hear them talk about people, make fun of people, you know, but, oh, I don't want to deal with this guy today. He's gonna, you know, things of that nature. And all of a sudden, too, oh, no, we don't want them in there, you know. And two, when recess is over, I hear them say, oh, we got an audience, and I'm the only one in there. So they don't want me hearing certain things. But, you know, there's no expectation of privacy in the courtroom. I mean, as much as they want to argue there's an issue of privacy, you know, any member of the public, unless it's a closed, the hearing has been specifically closed, okay, any member of the public can go in there and observe. It's not a big special show that, you know, that only you have to have like a pass or a ticket for, okay? Anybody could go in there and hear somebody committed a rape or molested a child or committed a murder or any other heinous act or violation of the penal code or vehicle code. I can go and listen to people get cited for their tickets all day long. One of my funniest court stories is, okay, peace out, time to stand. I'm going to end here in a few minutes here. One of my funniest court stories is the guy saying in there, okay, well, we waived this fee, but we can't waive this fee. because the guy got caught in the lane with one person, and so he says, well, Your Honor, he's like, well, do you want to say anything? Yeah, they can't trespass my ears, exactly. So the judge goes to the guy, so do you want to say anything, or just court? And he goes, oh, Your Honor, I just wanted to say I was only in it for a minute. I was just only in it. I just got over and then got out. And I shit you not, the judge goes, oh, so you just wanted to acknowledge you were guilty. I shit you not. It was really hard not to laugh because the judge, I don't know what this guy was expecting. He already got one fee waived, which they don't like to do to begin with, waive any fees. And he couldn't get this, I think it was like a $250, $300 fee, So like, better one of those than double that, okay, with the other fee. And he said, well, we can't waive it. I think it was like a traffic school fee or whatever. And he says, I cannot waive it. And he said, well, I was just in it for a minute. And he's like, well, you got one thing dismissed, but now you just acknowledged you were guilty. It's like, better not have said anything at all. Stuff like that. And then one day, too, here's another one. At this court particularly. Okay, I'm in there, and the guy goes to the judge, Your Honor, I'd like to have bail. And the judge, she goes, oh, you can't have bail right now because you haven't admitted to anything. And I'm like, what? Oh, that's not how bail bonds work. That's not how bail bonds work. When you're arrested and arraigned, you get your bail bonds, or sometimes even before then. But you don't have to enter a plea, from my knowledge. You don't have to say you're guilty or not guilty to be entitled to a bail bonds, unless you have like felony conditions or like 3 strikes or things of that nature, where they have stuff they can hold you on. But to say that you have to enter a plea to have bail, that's not true. And then, like, too, at this courthouse, again, a guy was arrested in Nevada, had a warrant out of Nevada. He was arrested here, and the gets to court and it goes, okay, well, this is a non-extraditable warrant, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, that's right. It was an extraditable warrant, but Nevada did not come, whoever, I guess the state justice or whoever does the pickups, right, did not come and pick this guy up. So they said, okay, Mr. So-and-so, because the state of Nevada didn't come and pick you up for transport, we're going to go ahead and release you on your own recognizance, blah, blah, blah. And so the guy goes to the judge, okay, Your Honor, so does that mean if I get stopped again, am I going to be arrested and taken back to the jail again? And, basically he's asking, well, just because Nevada didn't come and pick me up, am I going to have to still go through this fiasco if I get pulled over by the sheriffs again? And he said, and the judge goes, well, you're going to have to contact Nevada. Okay, and the answer is so obvious, okay? And later I'm hearing the judge talk afterwards. He goes, well, I don't want to give out legal advice. Well, it's not legal advice. It's the goddamn truth. If you get stopped again, you will be arrested on this out-of-state warrant that Nevada has on you, okay? They didn't come and pick you up this time, but that's how the system goes. You get that warrant in the system, it's out of state, and so you will be picked up again. But no, that's apparently given legal advice. And he couldn't just say to the guy, yes, if you get stopped again, you could be taken into custody on this warrant and held again to see if Nevada wants to come and collect you. But he can't say that. He just wants to perpetuate, ignorance. Because it was pretty obvious. I mean, I could have stood up and told him that, yes, you will be picked up again. Yeah, it's just a yes or no question. Your Honor, am I going to be arrested again on this warrant? Contact Nevada. It's a yes or no question. It's no brainer. I had a personal friend of mine, Nicholas Wildstar. Some of you may know who he is. I was down with him in Santa Cruz last November, and he had a bench warrant out of Orange County. And they held him in the Santa Cruz jail until about midnight, because Orange County said they weren't going to come and pick him up. But he can still get pulled over, after we left. He's like, well, we can still, well, I mean, he wasn't driving anymore, but, still can get pulled over and still go through this in a different county if we're stopped. But yeah, exactly, he doesn't want to lose his job. Because somebody is always watching somebody. You know, if one guy does something, then somebody's superior. Like, dang it, I was going to end, but it ended up, you guys got me going. But it's always something, you know, if, like one superior, if they do something that's actual change, then they're going to come down and say, well, why did you do that? Because I had a lieutenant who was very happy to talk to me, very happy to see me, very, you know, interested in my complaints and had a general concern for, you know, what I was reporting. And then, you know, a couple months later when I finally see him again, it was like, he's all like, hi, how you doing, you know, hi, you know, just like I didn't even exist it. Like when before it was, he made it a point of when he walked past me to say, oh, hello, cameraman, how you doing, you know, things of that nature. But now he wants to act like I don't exist, and I think it's because what I reported. Because one deputy that I reported one time, I don't see him working anymore at the courthouse. So I don't know what happened to him. So I have two theories. Either he took action on that, and someone higher than him, a lieutenant, found out about it and retaliated against him in some way for taking action on my complaint, or the most recent complaints I reported to him at the district attorney, not the district attorney, but of the misconduct by deputies I've seen at the courthouse, you know, denying my rights in the courtrooms. And especially one of them is a sergeant that was supposed to help me, but now is turned against me and wants to deprive my rights. And that brings us back to what I was saying earlier about the perjury of the judge. When I said that, the judge, you know, quietly just sit down, you know, like it seemed like to me he was going to look at the media request again. You know, it's not my first time dealing with this judge where he committed perjury and then just went on with the case, you know, and acknowledged, like, this case I was in, the judge said, well, they committed perjury, Your Honor. I want them arrested. And the judge goes to the guy, he goes, well, I'm not going to do that today. And then he just went on with the case. So, you know, but acknowledge that, well, I'm not going to do that today. So I figured it was going to be one of those, but his deputies, you know, snapped, and one of them was the sergeant, and they all started screaming, get out, get out, get out. And I said, no, you need to arrest the judge. He's committing perjury. And I said, no, and then one of them goes, are you going to leave, or are you going to leave with my assistants? And one of them, right, they grabbed the camera by the tripod like a goose by its neck, right, like this. And they walk it out of the courtroom like it's some alien object. Yeah, exactly. He just wanted me to shut me up, because he didn't expect that I was going to call him out for his blatant perjury. Just like how last week with the same judge, he ruled on my media request a day before the court hearing, right, and denied it. No biggie, right? No deal. I expect denial. The problem is that they're supposed to notify you, right? Okay? And the notification, right, I don't get it until last Saturday. The hearing date was on the 20th, okay? I didn't get it until this previous Saturday that just passed. So that's a day or so after the hearing, because it was on a Thursday and I don't receive notification for it on a Saturday. So that's untimely. But yet the judge will commit perjury and say, I filed things untimely that are not untimely, all the while notifying me untimely. Ain't that a bitch? You know, same judge. And two, he started off really cool. This judge, you know, he was approving my media requests, the questions with the media, he was like, no, and he approved me. But I guess what happened is when, you know, one of these attorneys that I mentioned before, that one day I was kicked out of the 187 preliminary hearing, this attorney, same attorney, told me, right, the guy is right, that I'm documenting his case, tells me, hey, my attorney hasn't visited me in 2 months in the jail. I'm like, okay, well, hey, can you tell him that, can thank the new post. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you, Postmaster General. But honestly, even if the mail was slow, I do not reasonably expect them to deliver a piece of mail that was submitted after 4 o'clock on a Wednesday, you know, after 4 o'clock. And then I look at the actual thing, right, when it was postmarked. It was postmarked on the 20th. So I can't reasonably expect them to deliver a letter like that in a day. unless it's like one of those, fancy, express shipping, okay? I don't think it was unreasonably delayed, because Wednesday and getting something Saturday, that's usually how the mail works for, like, letters like that, usually 3 or 4 days. But to rule on it the day before, reasonably, you couldn't expect there to be delivered in a timely manner, regardless if the U.S. Postal Master General was what do you call it, slowing down the mail or not, Maybe he should have UPS'd it. Maybe it would have gotten there faster. But the point is, he's saying I'm untimely while being untimely himself. And it's a real disappointment how all these judges are, I have 3 judges now that I'm filing a complaint about, because they're all perpetuating this perjury. And this whole media thing stems from what I was just saying about how this guy, attorney, hadn't visited him in jail 2 months. He asked me, can you tell him to send me a copy of the probable cause for this search warrant and all transcripts between witnesses and the the sheriff? And I said, sure, no problem. So I call and I leave him a message on his answering machine, and the answering machine tells me everybody's working from home. So I have no idea who is in the office, if anybody's going to be in the office. And I know for a fact that he's instructed his people not to interact with me. And he's also been, screwing around with the guy whose case I'm investigating. When he calls, he doesn't get calls back. So I know they're fucking with him. They're fucking with me. So what better way to ensure that the message was delivered than to tell the guy himself? Because I see him at the courthouse all the time, so I tell him right in the court, hey, explain what I need to communicate. And he says to me, there is no way I would ever communicate with one of my clients through you. And I said, that's fine. I wasn't expecting, he was like thinking I was going to get a conversation out of it, right? I wasn't expecting a conversation. It's just delivering a message. And so that's fine. I'm just doing my due diligence, because, like I said, what better way to ensure that a message was delivered than telling the person directly themselves? And he goes, no, you're not. You're an idiot. And he starts going on this belligerent rant in court, and he's probably, and this is one of the things he complained about, is that I'm always misquoting him. So he's probably steaming mad right now if he's watching this, saying, there he goes again, misquoting. And so he did his little tantrum, and I believe the judge witnessed some portions of it. But because he's a member of the bar, if you will, and gets to sit at the king's table, he went down, and after his little tantrum, he went and badmouthed me in front of the king, and now the king is taking one of his bar members' words as fact when it was perjury, because when I get up, for the media request that day, he goes, oh, okay, live, I'm new on this channel. Oh, okay, Teresa. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad I'm staying live then. Some new people haven't seen me in a while. That's good. So, all of a sudden the judge goes, oh, well, it's come to the court's attention that referring to these people you're providing media coverage for as clients. Well, yeah. What else am I supposed to call him if he's wants me to have him give? That's the thing to this guy. He wants me to give him media coverage. He wants media coverage, and I'm giving him a willing participation in his own case. So what am I supposed to call him? Like I told him too. I could call you what the Constitution says. I can say you're subject, but I mean, I would rather call you a client because it's more professional. And calling you a subject, and especially in here, makes you sound like you're some sort of test tube experiment that I'm documenting. And you got a chuckle out of that. But it's regardless, there's all sorts of different clients, okay? Barbershops, people that cut their hair and they come regularly, that's a client, okay? You got a dog groomer, person that grooms your dog, your service, those are your clients, clientele. Go to the closest oh yeah, that's what I mean, we're just piling this all up into, that's what it's going to turn into, a 1983. And that's what I filed complaints to the Sheriff's Department, that this behavior is deprivating my rights under. And one of them, because it was two or more, that turned into 1985. And they all think it's a joke until you have the federal marshals showing up and serving people, like I've had before. This is stuff I don't talk about much because, whoops, dropped my thingy. because one, I'd rather put it out there when it's all over with and something complete. But who knows right now with federal court. In my case, I have a case in Orange County in federal court, and filed my thing for it in March, and I haven't heard back on anything. But who knows, you know, it's like, basically what I said is, gave my response, and either it was going to go from trial or that, or be done there. But, you know, with this COVID, who knows, because jury trials are all up in the air everywhere right now. So, who knows when I'm ever going to get to federal court. But I had the federal marshals show up to the police department in Anaheim and serve Officer Matthew Beck in that case. That's the officer I have a case against for depriving my rights while filming. And they want to say, oh no, you consented and blah blah blah. And again, that's what court's to argue for. But you know, it's all fun and games until that happens. And that's the thing right here is Butte County is one of the more corrupt counties here in California that I've come to find out. And I thought Orange County was, you know, pretty corrupt, and it is. Orange County, no doubtably, is one of the more corrupt counties in the state of California. No, I didn't get arrested. I just had my hand, he came and he put his hands on me, and I filed a complaint and a lawsuit about that. Because, you know, they should know better. They should already know who I am, and there should have been no issues. But he wanted to play dumb and be like, oh, I don't know who this guy is, even though the person that they were, and it was a guy, you know, one of my personal friends of mine, they were 51 and 50ing this guy in front of my own house to retaliate against me, you know, because he sent an email, right? And they said, oh, well, that email, we're going to 5150 him on. Okay, but they don't decide to do it until 3 days after 3 days after he sent the email, the night of an Anaheim City Council meeting, you know, all day. The guy lives not even a quarter of a mile down the street from the police department down there, right? And they say they couldn't find him all day. They couldn't find him, all right? But only when he was driving to pick me up for the council meeting did they locate him and initiate a traffic stop right in front of where I used to live. And they want to say, well, we don't know who this guy was, you know, even though it's been documented that the person that they 5150'd, I've been with him at meetings and other places numerous times, and they want to act like, oh, we don't know who he is. So just more excuses, more, denial, more trying to play dumb and be like, oh, well, it was his fault. Yeah, exactly. Due process. And so right now, you know, primarily I'm doing this, well, you guys, well, this is what news is about. Say I'm not news. Well, I'm doing a live stream about the injustice that was committed here today at, oh, you can't see it in the background, but over in that way, that courthouse. Okay, they don't want to say I'm media. Well, that's just simply not true. And so right now, I'll just go ahead and end it. I know I was going to say it ended a while ago, but you guys got me talking, and I see that there was the amount of people increased in here. So let me just thank, I want to thank all, I think 15 we had was the highest, but thanks Chat News Now, 420 RU2, Struck by Lightning, Teresa, anybody else here, just seeing who else is here. Southeastern PA Community, Time to Stand, I know he was in here earlier. Pissed Off Marine, Onus News Service, Hugh Santoro, if I said that correctly. Rad Figel, if I said that one correctly as well. But yeah, thanks everybody tuning in. Tom, Transam, hello. William, good to see you. Yeah, I figured I'd come on live, you know, let everybody go on, but, you know, let me just give you a little, let you know what cases I'm dealing with here before I go. But yeah, basically, this is the new wrap. Oh, let me finish from that one story. Okay, so after I was removed from the courthouse talking earlier about the judge, that day this was the 16th of July that I tried to have the judge arrested for committing perjury. And after this, right, I get told that, oh, you can no longer bring your cameras into the courthouse. And now there's no order or anything specifically stating you have to have an approved media request to bring a camera into this courthouse. There's nothing that says that in writing at all. The only thing that I found that I need to have approved if I wanted to bring in is an inconspicuous camera, like a pen camera or a button on my shirt, for example, and it was a tiny camera. That's something they want you to get to have specific approval in writing from the judge regarding that case. But if I wanted to take a video camera or picture camera, no, that can come in. But they want to argue that, oh, well, it's in writing, blah blah blah. But just another thing to hem me up and delay me on. And it was only after I tried to arrest a judge for committing perjury. And at that point, I've almost been bringing my cameras into this courthouse for over a year straight. So it was quite an interesting change. How all these things start happening after I do stuff. And, too, I brought up back in March of this year, right? It was a issue they were bringing, oh, you can't bring in the body camera, right? And so I brought that up to this sergeant who now is, I now have a complaint against because he's the one that participated in the removal from the court and some other issues. And, oh, he's also the one that says that now, I can't bring in the cameras without the media request. But back in March, there was an issue about me bringing the body camera in. And so I reached out to that sergeant, hey, blah, 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 I had an issue. And he said, oh, let me talk with the other sergeant and the lieutenant so we're all on the same page, right? So he sends me an email saying, oh, just to let you know, I talked to Sergeant so-and-so and I talked to Lieutenant so-and-so, and we're going to let you bring your body camera in. Okay, I'm back. The thing froze there for a second. I don't know why it did that. I think it might have been because of the notification I got that Tom Zebra just went live. But let me end, here. That's right. Notification times camera. Yeah, so I can't bring the cameras in, but he sent it back to me saying, oh, we talked to Sergeant so-and-so, Lieutenant, and they said you can bring the body camera in, just remember it can't be recording unless you have an approved media request. So I said in my complaint, okay, if I can't bring cameras in without an approved media request, why 3 months ago when I had this issue with the body camera, this wasn't brought up then and there during that discussion, but only now after I tried to get a judge arrested for felonies in my presence. So, not to say that I want my cameras removed from the courthouse, but if now they're going to be removed now, well, then we need to have some accountability for all these other times that I was allowed to bring it in when apparently I wasn't supposed to be bringing it in. But there's nothing that says that you must specifically have a media request approved for there to be, a camera in the court. The only thing that the order says is that the only electronics are allowed in, in that regard are news camera. And like I said, all it says is news camera. There's no definition of what a news camera is. I mean, what I'm streaming on right now can be considered a news camera. And to stay safe, thanks for tuning in, 420 RU2. I'm going to hurry up and finish up now, because I didn't plan on being on here for about almost an hour. I just wanted to be on for about 20 minutes or so. And I'll go ahead and finish up with, now that I've got that story out of the way, finish with the cases I was working on. I was going to go down to Sacramento last week. Oh, wasn't giving the middle finger. Looked like it for a second. I was going to go down to Sacramento last week on Monday for the Golden State Killer sentencing hearing. I went to the preliminary hearing, or arraignment hearing, I should say, back in July, whichever one it was. That's where plea hearing. He pleaded guilty to all these charges and whatnot. But I scheduled just to be there the Monday, but it turned out it was going to be Tuesday through Friday, and I didn't schedule just to be there the one day, so that didn't work out. But from what I found out, I wouldn't have gotten in anyways, even though I have an approved media request. I had to call this media PIO before 4 o'clock on a Friday. And I called Thursday, right, and the court said, oh, all court services are suspended, click goodbye. Just automated message that hangs up on you. And thank you, chat news now, thank you. And so I called the sheriff's department, and there's no button to speak to a supervisor, and it says speak to dispatch, and I'm like, well, I'm not in Sacramento County right now, because I mean I could speak to dispatch and have them call me back, but we all know how that works sometimes, where they don't call you back at all. And then two, they may want to send someone to talk to me in person or think I'm outside somewhere. I'm like, no. So that's not going to work, because two, I don't want to be tying up a dispatch line unless I have to be, because I shouldn't have to call into the dispatch center where active 911 calls are also received to speak to a supervisor. There should just be an option to speak to the front desk, or no, it's just designed so they can, they don't want you to, basically, they don't want to be spoken to. That's why they make these systems difficult for people to work with. Just like here at the jail, you want to talk to somebody at the jail? No, you got to call into dispatch, because on the jail thing, right, it says talk to somebody. Press that, and it says, oh, transferring you now to the dispatcher. And like, no, I don't want to talk to the dispatcher that's in a completely different building. I want to talk to the person that's at the front desk of the jail behind the plexiglass window. But they don't want to give you lines for that. So I called, couldn't get a hold of anybody. And then, too, it was just like last time. If anybody was here from the live streams a couple months ago when I was there, they want you to have a blue bracelet to be allowed to go into the preliminary hearing. You have to be approved. And we all know what the approval really is. They want to act like it's, get your name pulled out of a hat, and if you're a lucky winner, you'll get in there. But from what I saw, it's already a list printed out of who they want and who they don't want. And if you're not on the list of who they want, you ain't getting in, and you ain't getting a blue bracelet. Now, got to run to my apartment. You'll have a great day. All right, Teresa, thank you for turning in. I'm completely fine with the COVID right now, coming on a first-come, first-served basis. But to restrict the First Amendment to a raffle of a blue bracelet, then no, that's illegal. And now for the cases here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 cases here I'm dealing with. 3 of them are set to go to trial soon. 2 trial dates next month. 1 trial date in October. And then 1 trial date in November. And hopefully I'll have all these cases that I've documented up at the end of the year all together in maybe 3-4 hour videos, or whenever these trials are done. Whether or not I even get to record the trial, that's a different story. So yeah, I'm going to try and, let you know I'm still out there. Maybe getting arrested at the courthouse soon for exercising my rights, making good trouble. And I'll give you an example of that, and I'll shut the fuck up and end the stream because I've almost been on for an hour. But I'll give you an example of that. Every time now that they're denying my media request and I'm not notified before the court date of the outcome, I'm going to stand up and say, Your Honor, I'm assuming the media request was denied, because that's what I'm seeing now. They're denying every media request I filed before the actual court date. Some they're leaving open-ended, but most of them they're denying. I'm going to say, Your Honor, I was not properly notified. I wasn't notified in a timely manner. Because I'm still going to, still, just because you denied the request doesn't mean I'm not going to show up. That doesn't scare me off. But if you're not going to properly notify me that you denied, then we're going to let the record reflect that. Just like today, the judge, he was nice enough to allow me to address the district attorney's people and allow me to object to their statements. But if regardless if the judge gives me an opportunity or not, and they say, oh, well, we're finding that the media requester is not media, and I just sit down and don't say anything, I'm essentially agreeing to that. But if I stand up and say objection, I object to that, then that the record is going to reflect that. But if I don't say anything, then essentially I'm agreeing with that. And you'll find that in court. If you don't, when they start talking about you and you don't rebut to anything that they say against you, you're agreeing with it, So that's my cases. I'm still hanging in there. Now you know the hard work I'm doing. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, the 7 people that are left. Thank you for the 19 thumbs up. I think the highest we had people in here was Speed Racer. I think the highest amount of people we had in here was 15. I'm pretty sure the DA people tuned in, so and so yeah, probably use this in court. Be like, oh, he came to our office, made a video, and just like today too. For the record too, in the case, right? They try to discredit this guy, saying he's crazy. In the memorandum, they used one of my videos that I filmed in court of his case to say that, oh, he doesn't follow court rules and he's improper and blah blah blah, and they're trying to say he's insane. He may not be insane to stand trial, but he's too insane to not proceed without counsel of his own. He can't. They're trying to make him not be able to represent himself, essentially, and so they have no problem saying that I'm not media when that's not true, but they're not beneath using my video to discredit a defendant. And I made a point of that when they were walking back to the DA's office out of court. I took a little quick video and I said, hey, I'm not media, but you weren't beneath using my video to discredit the defendant. And they were they had no, they're walking. I didn't expect them to answer, but they weren't expecting me to call them out on that because they're making, I can go down to, like anybody else, type in the case number and look at documents in there. So I find out things. And I don't think she was expecting me to call her out on it. But that just proves that the camera works both ways. For the people as well as for the defendant. Okay? The camera doesn't lie, but you, as a district attorney, deputy district attorney, investigator, whatever you want to call yourself, you're a criminal. You commit perjury and say I'm not media, but then have the audacity to use video from the media to discredit your defendant. So that's not only hypocritical, but I think that's pretty much an asshole move in my book. That's an asshole move. But it is what it is. Now you know what's going on. Sorry for taking so long, but you got me all going here. People asking questions and bringing this up, and it needed to be brought attention. So if I don't, I know I'm not very active, but if this is my last video, then you'll know why. The people from the dungeon sent their goblins, minions, ghouls to come out and discredit me. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I'll have some more updates now, and that's what I think I'll do, make a point of doing. Every day from now on, when I go to court and they say I'm not media, we're going to report on that. So you'll know every day a perjury is committed. And they want to say, oh, well, it's not perjury, but when you're making a statement, you know which not to be true. I don't know what that is. And two, these district attorneys, they make a point to say, oh, well, we're under certain oaths and obligations, so we can't answer certain questions during press conferences. So it's just sickening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the corruption here in Butte County. So, all right, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the 19 thumbs up. Almost 20, but 19, that's great. Hope to hear from you guys again soon. I hope to have some videos up eventually, because I was going to have them up, but the freaking coronavirus and then all this court stuff started all happening at once, and just my shame on that. But hopefully I'll be talking to you guys again soon, and hopefully I could be bringing you some court hearings, but I don't know how that's going to go. So hope to talk to you all again soon. Thank you for tuning in. Cameraman out.